So congratulations, Mr. Vice President.
Thank you.
Let's talk about some of the issues that matter to the American people.
Sure.
And the president's new tariff policy. And when I think about what he got elected on is bring the cost down for people, but also.
And we got to remember, guys, the stock market, it's like I said, it has one variable that it runs off that nobody can control, and that is human emotion. Shout out to human emotion. So you don't think that these tariffs got people acting a little crazy and all that good stuff? People really don't know what to do right now, especially some of these businessmen that are dealing with the tariffs. So, of course, the economy is going to look a little bit uncertain right now. Like I said, let's give it to August and we'll see where we're at, because I guarantee you, come August, a lot of these guys who's been talking crazy in the chat is no longer going to be here. Or maybe they grow up and they'll give me an apology. You never know.
Bring manufacturing back to the country.
That's right.
These are going to kind of hit.
And guys, we got 300 plus of y'all in here, but only 29 likes, man. That is crazy. Let's get the 50 likes, guys. Go ahead and double tap that screen real quick to like the video. Yes, double tap that screen or the 3 dots up there by the S.E.T media symbol. Appreciate the support, guys. Let's keep it going.
Each other, right? Explain to us how you get manufacturing here, but also get the cost down for the American people.
Well, if you go back a little bit, Lawrence, remember during the first Trump administration, everybody said that Trump's tariffs were going to be inflationary back then. What actually happened? We had 1.5% inflation. We had the fastest growing economy in a generation, and we had the beginning of a manufacturing renaissance in the United States of America. Then, of course, we had 4 terrible years of the Biden administration. But I think it's useful for all of us to step back and ask ourselves, what has the globalist economy gotten the United States of America? And the answer is fundamentally it's based on 2 principles: incurring a huge amount of debt to buy things that other countries make for us. And to make it a little bit more crystal clear, we borrow money from Chinese peasants to buy the things those Chinese peasants manufacture. That is not a recipe for economic prosperity. It's not a recipe for low prices, and it's not a recipe for good jobs in the United States of America. For 40 years, we have gone down that pathway.
I mean, here's the thing, though. We gave away our jobs so, well, little kids could work them for cents on the dollar. And then here's the thing. We're okay with it on the terms of, well, cheap products, even though it's gutted our middle class. But, hey, though, cheap products, right? Sometimes I really need y'all to I really want y'all to think, like, all right, what matters more to me? Cheap products or child slavery? I wonder.
We've seen closing factories. We've seen rising inflation. We've seen the cost of housing so high that most Americans can't afford to buy a home right now. President Trump is taking this economy in a different direction. He ran on that. He promised it, and now he's delivering. And yes, this is a big change. I'm not going to shy away from it, but we needed a big change, Lawrence. We cannot keep going down the Joe Biden globalist pathway.
Yeah, of this being taking advantage in trade, having $1 trillion deficit, then have everybody on the media try to make the argument, oh, well, it's good for us to have a trade deficit. How? We're losing money. I mean, I ain't never heard nobody rationalize, oh, yeah, we're losing money. That's a good thing. I'm like, whoa, what? Yeah, we're losing money. We're not getting good trade deals. We're losing money because, like, nobody's buying our products because they're being tariffed, but we're buying everybody else's products. Yeah, that's okay. It's like, are y'all serious? Y'all really want to rationalize that?
Where we have $2 trillion of peacetime debt and deficits. We have manufacturing disappearing. That is not working for Americans. We've got to take this country in a different direction.
Mr. Vice President, there does seem to be a disconnect. You see Wall Street in the media and the markets, and they're freaking out right now.
Yep.
But then I look at those workers that were in the Rose Garden yesterday, and they're celebrating. I think about all the diners that I've done across the country, and all these businesses saying, we've lost manufacturing here, and they're celebrating the move. What is the disconnect between the market and the people, those workers that are cheering this on right now?
Well, I think on the one hand, frankly, a lot of people have gotten rich from American jobs moving overseas, but American workers have not gotten rich. And frankly, American companies have not gotten wealthy from the increasing growth of foreign competitors manufacturing overseas. They, as the president says, Lawrence, these foreign companies, they charge us ridiculous tariffs. They engage in a lot of non-tariff practices like currency manipulation. That has been awful for Main Street in the United States of America.
Man, currency manipulation and import bans. I mean, bro, there's some countries that won't even allow us to sell our product in their countries, but they can sell our product. They can sell their product in our country all day. Like I said, we send our products over there. They're like, nope, can't accept that. But you can accept our products, though. I'm like, you see what I'm saying? It's not fair trade. But then you have the Dems trying to make the argument that, oh, well, we need to be in a deficit with some of these countries. I'm like, I never see nobody make the argument for losing money and it being okay until the Dems came around and until this generation of the Democratic Party came around. This is the part that make excuses for losing and said that we should be okay with it.
It's meant those diners, their customers don't have jobs anymore. It meant those great steel mills, those great auto plants have closed down and their workers have been laid off. What I saw yesterday in the Rose Garden was incredible enthusiasm because a lot of those workers, they've been working hard for 10, 20, 30, 40 years, young and old, were in the Rose Garden yesterday. They've never had a president who stood up for their jobs and stood up for American prosperity. They finally see something has shifted. There were Democrats out there, Republicans. There were union and non-union workers alike. They know this is a big change, but we need a big change in this country because what we've done, what we did under the Biden administration, it just wasn't working.
So, Mr. Vice President, I know a lot of MAGA.
Shit, I ain't gonna lie. This goes all the way back to the Nixon administration. That wasn't working either. This goes back to all the bad trade deals that President Bush took up. That wasn't it either. I mean, look, I know Obama and Biden had some pretty shitty trade deals, but Bush, oh, that man couldn't make a trade deal to save his life.
Folks, a lot of Americans that are cheering the president on, especially when he takes it to other countries,
Sure.
they feel like we've been screwed for a long time.
Yep.
But I also know people that come from our background, they're living paycheck to paycheck.
Of course.
And they want to do the patriotic duty of taking it to these other countries, but it's going to hit them a little bit. They feel. What can you tell the American people that they just can't afford an extra $3 here and there about the government making up the difference from that? Will costs go up at some point? Will this just be temporary? Are we talking 3 months or 6 months?
Well, we certainly hear, and I appreciate, how I grew up.
I know.
I grew up in a family that often did live paycheck to paycheck, and we know a lot of Americans are worried. So we are fighting very hard to bring prices down. Us going to have the biggest deregulation in the history of this country. We're doing a lot of things and already have done a lot of things to lower the cost.
And that's also one of the things that's going to help us out when it comes to costs. Deregulating so we can access some of our rare earth and minerals that we have in our own country. Yes, we are a resource-rich country, but due to regulations set on by the EPA, we are not allowed to access those resources due to environmental protection reasons or climate change. So yes, we're going to go ahead and deregulate those, get access to our rare earth and minerals, and start doing some real manufacturing, which should bring down costs in America. Well, at least manufacturing costs in America.
Cost of energy. You heard the president mention this yesterday. Eggs, when we came in, were at a 10-year high, and all of a sudden they've dropped 60% just in the 2 months of the Trump administration. What I'd ask folks to appreciate here is,
hold on, what dropped 60%?
we're going to have the biggest deregulation in the history of this country. We're doing a lot of things and already have done a lot of things to lower the cost of energy. You heard the president mention this yesterday. Eggs, when we came in, were at a 10-year high, and all of a sudden they've dropped 60% just in the 2 months of the Trump administration. What I'd ask folks to appreciate here is that we are not going to fix things overnight.
Yeah.
Joe Biden left us, this is not an exaggeration, Lawrence, with the largest peacetime debt and deficit in the history of the United States of America, with sky-high interest rates. You don't fix that stuff overnight. We know people are struggling. We're fighting as quickly as we can.
I mean,
to
here's the funniest part. People want to act like people started struggling when Trump was in office. I mean, what you mean? Everybody was complaining about grocery prices, affordability, housing prices, all under the Biden administration. So it is crazy how everybody just want to spark up this stuff as if, oh, the economy just started turning down as soon as Trump got in office. No, the economy was in a down spiral during the entire Biden administration, except you believed the lie and said, oh, we're in the best economy ever. All of a sudden, Trump comes in like a week and y'all talking about egg prices as if Biden was not running the economy for 4 years. But I do see the premise that a lot of these Dems are going on. Like I said, you're arguing as if the Biden administration never existed.
Fix what was left to us, but it's not going to happen immediately. But we really do believe that if we pursue the right deregulation, we pursue those energy cost reducing policies, yes, people are going to see it in their pocketbook. They're also going to benefit from the fact that foreign countries can't take advantage of us anymore. That means their jobs are going to be more secure.
I don't think you can talk about the tariffs, and not talk about the tax cuts as well that we're expecting. Is this to offset some of the cuts that we plan on expecting? Will this be a permanent measure, or are we thinking when it comes to the scoring of this bill, we're going to be able to get cuts as a result of this?
I wouldn't think of tax cuts as a way to offset the tariffs. Here's the way that I think about it is, again, for 40 years, we've had an economy that rewards people who ship American jobs overseas and raises taxes on American workers.
Yep.
And we're flipping that on its head. We're going to cut taxes for American workers and for American companies that build here. We're going to make it harder to ship American jobs overseas. It's a total shift in the way that we've done economic policy in the United States.
Because I've been telling people, like, bro, for the past like 10 years, we've been doing everything low-key to push corporations out of here. I mean, especially with the Dems talking about raising the corporate tax. Y'all want to raise the corporate tax. I want to have what was it, tax on capital gains and all that crazy stuff. You guys are ready to push all these business out of the country and ready to destroy the middle class, and y'all didn't even see the plan. Y'all didn't even see what y'all was doing. So it is great that Trump came in here and flipped that on his head, because y'all was about to go with the status quo and just walk us off to economic destruction. Trump is like, look, we're going to go through some hard times. We got to flip this on his head. We can no longer just keep sending jobs out to China or overseas and then bringing the tax back to our people. I'm like, here's the craziest part. I mean, jobs coming overseas are bringing back here. We were still getting taxed heavily. Prices were still rising. So what's the difference? I mean, we had nothing to lose in the first place.
Of America, but it was necessary. So yeah, we're going to cut your taxes. You're going to have more money in your pocket, and that's of course going to help you deal with the cost of inflation. But that's,
I really want y'all to understand, we keep with Biden's policy, we were going to end up broke. We're going to be a broke country, a country in bankruptcy. We go with Trump's plan. Worst case scenario, we're an isolated country. Worst case scenario. I mean, shit, I'd rather be an isolated country than walked off the cliff to economic destruction.
That's not about offsetting the tariffs. They work together. We want to penalize people for shipping our jobs overseas. We want to reward hardworking Americans. It's all part of the same policy.
I want to get to some other news, because there were some reports that came out that Elon Musk is leaving. Now, of course, the president had already said he was only going to be here for a temporary basis.
Yeah.
Tell us about that. Doge will.
And I want y'all to remember, because this seems to be forgotten. And like I said, a lot of people underestimate America. And I mean, y'all underestimate us, like, y'all know we're the most powerful country, but you underestimate us still. Do you know that some of these trade deficits, right? Some of these trade deficits are the whole reason why some of these countries are even standing still. Yes, these trade deficits that we are going through, $1 trillion, most of these countries, I ain't gonna lie, wouldn't be able to stand without us being in a trade deficit to them. So yeah, it is kind of funny how everybody's saying, oh, well, everybody's just gonna go to Europe and China, and like, bro, they don't even have bro. First off, China tariffs everybody. China has trade barriers. Nobody's going into China. So whoever said everybody trying to invest in China, that's a lie. Europe, I mean, okay, yeah, sure, but we have the biggest consumer economy in the world. We have the biggest GDP in the world. People need our economy to survive. They need our consumer economy to survive in their country. To sit there and think that these countries are going to try to go invest somewhere else instead of try to come into the best economy in the world is hilarious that you think that.
Will continue after Elon Musk? Will he still be an advisor to you and the president? I know y'all have a great relationship. Tell us about it.
Well, first of all, that report I saw was total fake news. Yeah. Elon came in and we said, we need you to make government more efficient. We need you to shrink the incredible, vast bureaucracy that thwarts the will of the American people, but also costs way too much money. And we said that's going to take about 6 months. And that's what Elon signed up for. But of course, he's going to continue to be an advisor. And by the way, the work of Doge is not even close to done. The work of Elon is not even close to done. You look at all of the fraudulent grants that they found. You look at people who are 150 years old, who are fraudulently collecting Social Security payments. You see our Social Security system, 40% of the people who are calling in are actually committing fraud. That means the 60% who need their Social Security checks are waiting in line. Doge has got a lot of work to do. And yeah, that work's going to continue after Elon leaves. But fundamentally, Elon is going to remain a friend and an advisor of both me and the president. And he's done a lot of good things. People don't realize how vast and uncontrolled the bureaucracy was. We've started to chip away at it, but there's a lot of work to do. It's not going to happen all in 6 months. It's going to take a long and committed effort.
Tell us about the news when it comes to TikTok. It looks like the president is going to announce maybe today some proposal. Maybe America owns 50% of TikTok. A private investor will own the other part. Is that going to happen today?
So I don't want to get ahead of.
And guys, here's the thing. Look, You know, it's going to be so funny. These countries like to say, oh, America's our friend, America this and that. But as soon as we play hardball, you start seeing these countries' true colors. You start seeing these countries' true colors. They start calling our products trash. They start saying, oh, you guys are too big for your britches. I'm just like, oh, really now? Because it kind of sounds like y'all scared we're taking action. Because let's be real, if these countries weren't bothered by it, then why are y'all all kicking and screaming like a bunch of little girls? Like, let's be honest. And then if this plan wasn't working, I mean, let's be real. We got China trying to make some deals, but they're upset with us still because of the Panama Canal and Apple. Bro, we got Japan already coming over and giving us business. We got India already talking to us about business. Bro, SoftBank, the chips companies. The tariffs are working when it comes to bringing business here. So I'm really trying to wonder what your argument is based off of.
Of any presidential announcements here, but
because last time I checked, man, in the 30s, man, look, no companies came when that man Smooth dropped his tariffs. Trump dropped his tariffs. People are coming back in. People are trying to act right because guess what? We have been lied to about the importance of the American economy. The American economy is way more important than you realize to the globe.
What I've said is we've been working very hard, me and the president, the entire team, to really accomplish two things. First of all, you want to make sure that the TikTok app in the United States is not spying on people.
Right.
That's good for national security. You also want to give people access to this incredible platform, which, as we know, that's where a lot of young people get their news. That's where a lot of young people found out about the policies of the Trump administration. And we got to accomplish both of those things. I think that we're in a good place. We're going to keep on working at it, but I'll let the president make that announcement.
If it doesn't come out before the deadline, because I know the president extended.
It'll come out before the deadline.
Will come out.
We had a couple days to continue working on it to finalize some things.
Now, ma'am, I need to ask you this question. Why are you looking at the market at a snapshot of today? Like, how are you looking at the market? Because, financial experts look at the market in quarters, right? And quarters are 3 months. So why are you looking at the market expecting a change day by day when the market has never worked like that throughout history? I mean, trust me, before we even had a digital stock market, in ancient times, the stock market ain't never worked like that. The stock market has always mysteriously worked in quarters. So you might, that's why we said wait until August. Because then the quarter's done. I think the quarter is done for this quarter. I think it's done in June. So, but still, though, we measure things on a quarterly basis. So you looking at the market day by day is not giving you an accurate snapshot of what's going on or what the future will be.
And of course, we're going to let the president announce whatever we ultimately decide.
Let's talk about some of the lawfare in this country, because I think it's important.
Of course.
We're seeing judges block illegal immigrants that came into the country illegally. That was the first crime. And then the second crime, they victimized American citizens, murder, rapists, and all that. What's going to be done about this? We're seeing these one-off stories of, this person was a great father, and then they're hanging around with MS-13. Yeah, so what's going to be done? The courts are blocking this right now, the executive branch. What are you guys going to do about it?
Well, look, we're going to keep on appealing. We're going to keep on fighting back here. First of all, we have to remember the most important thing was to stop the bleeding, to stop the influx of massive illegal immigration into the country. And in 2 months, the president has already done that. You have illegal border crossings down over 95% in pretty much every part of the American southern border. Then, we got to get the violent criminals out of here, and we've got to get illegal immigrants who came in during the Biden administration out of our country. That's what we're working on now. You're right. The courts, some radical left judges have stepped in and said you're not allowed to deport MS-13 gang members. That's crazy. We think the Supreme Court's going to overrule it, and we're going to keep on fighting for the president's prerogative to enforce the law. Lord, you should remember the number of people who came in here. The innocent American, girls like Jocelyn Nungray who lost their lives. Democrats never wept for them. Democrats never issued a congressional resolution of condemnation for their murder. Democrats didn't do anything to make it harder for violent thugs to come into our country and prey on innocent young women. What they're getting fired up about, what they're most angry about, is not that Jocelyn Nungray was murdered, but that the person who murdered her is getting shipped back home where they belong, not in the United States of America. I think it shows a disgraceful set of priorities from congressional Democrats. We're not going to let that stand in our way. We're going to keep on doing the American people's work.
Mr. Vice President, can I get you to put your lawyer hat on for a second? Because they're pointing to one of these cases of a gentleman that they said should not have been deported.
And no, and the one guy that they're pointing saying, oh, he should have never been deported was pretty much, according to the intelligence services, involved in human trafficking. But he has a wife and kids. How could he be part of a gang? I'm like, are y'all serious? Are y'all serious? What, you don't think gang members got wife and kids? You don't think gang members can be women and gays? It's like how lost are. I mean, no, actually, I can't even blame y'all. I wouldn't even want y'all to know all that about gangs, to be honest with you. To be quite honest. So it actually is a good thing that you don't know all that much about gangs.
From El Salvador. They said he was not connected to MS-13. What would you tell them about that case? Because they're saying that this is a person that was a great member of society. You've looked at the court records. You've talked to the men and women on the ground. What can you tell us about that situation?
Well, there have been a few cases out there where the Democrats and the media say, oh, this person was just an innocent father of three. And then you find out, for example, I think this is the case that you're talking about. Back in 2019, an immigration judge looked at all the evidence, looked at all the data, and concluded that this allegedly innocent person that we sent to El Salvador was actually a member of an MS-13 gang. He had also committed some traffic violations.
Exactly. I mean, bro, they've been investigating these people. They've been having records of these people. They just didn't have the time to go after them or the resources. Now they do. So y'all over here trying to paint this guy as innocent. I'm like, bro, look, he's a gang member. He's not a human trafficker, but he was trafficking, and he also, I guess, has some minor traffic violations. I've heard a lot of things about this guy over the past 48 hours. And that's what I've been summing it up to. It's like, look, y'all complain about one guy, but the intelligence agency says, hey, look, human trafficker, or he was trafficking things, and he's a gang member. It is what it is, guys. It is what it is. I mean, y'all need to stop fighting for these gang members and start fighting for the American people. Like, what's wrong with y'all?
He had not shown up for some court dates. This is not exactly father of the year here. This is a person that we don't think should be in our country. Here's the most important point, though, Lawrence, is whatever the argument is, whatever the justification is, no one doubts, not even the crazy left-wing media criticized the idea that we could deport this person. They just took issue with the reason.
And the reason why I told you he committed a trafficking, he was caught up on trafficking, because that was said during the hearing. Yes, they had a whole hearing on the whole due process of these immigrants. And during the hearing, they said, yeah, as I read up, the intelligence agency said this guy was caught up in human trafficking. So, yeah.
For why we deported this person. This was unquestionably an illegal alien. This was unquestionably a person who broke the laws to get into our country. This is unquestionably a person an immigration judge had found had zero right to be in the United States of America. We do not ask permission from far left Democrats before we deport illegal immigrants. We do the American people's business. And again, for the American people who are watching, this is such a weird, mistaken placement of priorities. We need to make our country stronger. We need to create jobs. We need to make our streets safer. What is it about congressional Democrats that get more angry at deporting violent gang members than they do at the victims of those violent gang members? I don't even understand where they're coming from. They've gone off the deep.
Actually, I remember during the hearing, the lady who the Venezuelan gangs, like, they took over her home, vandalized her house and all that. And this was in rural Colorado. This lady literally said it's kind of crazy how Biden had TPS service for these immigrants, but he didn't have temporary protective services for the American citizens who were being harassed by these immigrants or these gangs or these Venezuelan gangs. Yes, Venezuelan immigrants or Venezuelan gangs are sweeping through, taking over apartment complexes, harassing American citizens. But where's the TPS for them? Where was the temporary protective service for them? Oh, but we did it for Haitians, though.
Deep end, and they got to come back to reality.
I think it goes to the larger point, though, about the lawfare happening right now. It's not just the immigration cases, but pretty much everything that the executive is doing right now has been challenged in these lower courts.
Sure.
Is there a way to expedite this straight to the Supreme Court? Or do we legally have to let lower courts, make these decisions? Yeah. It goes to the appeal courts and finally it goes to the Supreme Court. People are saying the 4 years will be up by then.
Well, there are a lot of things that we can do, not just appeals. We can limit the jurisdiction of certain courts. Even when certain courts make a ruling, say that you're not allowed to deport a person for a certain reason, we can still deport that person for another reason. So it's not like deportations have stopped. But yes, the radical courts are a problem. But our view here is we knew we were going to have this fight. We were prepared for it. We're going to litigate it all the way to the Supreme Court. We think that we're going to win. And when we do win, that will end this question permanently. Think about this. The Democrats, they're spending so many resources fighting the deportation of gang members. You have to ask, where are their priorities? But we knew they were going to do this. We're prepared for it, Lawrence.
And guys, we got like 400 y'all in here, man. Do me a favor and double tap that screen and like the video. Hit the 3 dots up there in the corner. Yes, go ahead and double tap that screen and like the video and subscribe to the channel.
and we're going to fight all the way to the top of the courts.
Mr. Vice President, I think about your life story. Very similar to mine as well, growing up with nothing,
Sure.
and now you're the Vice President of the United States.
It's a great country, man.
It is a great country. We're almost to the 100-day mark.
Yeah.
We know the president has been strong on the border. We've seen almost operational control of the border at this point. We've seen the waste, fraud, and abuse being brought to light. How do you think, how would you rate this first 100 days?
Man, I think the president has done more in 100 days than almost any administration has done in 8 years. And I really think that when you consider the southern border, which was the biggest crisis that we got elected to solve, 2 months in, border crossings are almost at zero when it comes to illegal border crossings. When I think just about where I grew up, the factory closures, the fact that, you know, friends of mine were getting their parents laid off. I talked to a lot of people who couldn't afford a home on the.
And remember, JD Vance grew up where I grew up. He grew up in Ohio. And I seen the same thing when I was a kid. Now, JD Vance is way older than me, but trust me, I was seeing the same things when I was a kid. I was seeing the older cats pretty much saying, yeah, I'm just going to say, nah, let's go to the factory. They pay good money. We're going to start up there. And then those factory jobs just disappeared. And those same older cats that were trying to get those factory jobs turned to the streets. Or they moved out the state. It was either one or the other.
Campaign trail. I talked to women who were worried about the price of a dozen eggs. We're making steady progress on all those issues. Yes, it doesn't happen overnight, but when you look at the hundreds of billions of dollars in new investment coming into our country, auto plants that were planned to close that are now adding shifts as opposed to closing, egg prices that are way down, gasoline prices that are way down. We're making a lot of progress, but there's still a lot left to do. And
I would just say some states will do better than others, because in Ohio, I mean, it's astounding what we got going on here. I mean, we got Meta, we got Google out here making data centers. We got Meta out here making data centers. We got Uline out here building factories, opening up shifts all over the city, really, like 3 different parts of the city. And here's the thing, I mean, these guys work quick. Uline, hey man, you guys work quick. I mean, just give it a year and you already got a whole data center going.
I know the president is laser focused on it. So am I.
You have become almost the fighter in chief. The president sends out a message and he puts it in bullet points for the American people. And then you go on the Sunday shows and you duke it out with them. Sometimes you duke it out with world leaders in the Oval Office as well. And there's a lot of people saying about the mantle of MAGA, what happens after these 4 years. I guess this is my final question to you. Do you run for president after this? Do you I know you're going to tell me you're going to focus on being vice president right now, but people are wondering if we can accomplish all of this in 4 years, and they want some security in that. Is JD the man to continue the MAGA agenda?
Well, look, man, I really am just not focused on politics. I'm not focused on the midterm elections in 2026, much less the presidential election in 2028. When we get to that point, I'll talk to the president. We'll figure out what we want to do. But the way that I think about it is if we do a good job, the politics take care of themselves. I just want America to be wealthy again. I want our communities to be safe again. I want us to be opening factories rather than closing down factories. I want people of my generation to be able to afford a home to raise a family in. And I want to stop all the ridiculous wars that were started by the previous administrations. There's so much to do, man. And I don't really think that much about what happens in 3.5 years. If I do a good job, if the president does a good job for the American people, and I know that we will, the politics will take care of itself. Let's just do a good job.
Well, when you do decide, you got to make me a promise. It's going to be on Fox and Friends. It has to be. Mr. Vice President,
Thank you
so much. We appreciate it. All right, family, just wrapped up with the Vice President of the United States, JD Vance.
All righty. Now, all right, let's get on to this Piers Morgan interview with Megyn Kelly. All right, let's get right to it.
They rip us off. European Union, very friendly. They rip us off. It's so pathetic. 39%. We're going to charge them 20%. So we're charging them essentially half. They charge us. We charge them. We charge them less. So how can anybody be upset? They will be, because we